Out more. Joining us now, District 43 Representative, the chairman of the House Education Committee, and someone who's about to be busy coming up in January, I have a feeling. Lloyd Roberson, we call him Rob, Representative Rob. Mr. Chairman, how you doing this morning?
Doing great. Good to be here this morning.
Well, let me ask you right off the top. Let's talk about the Education Freedom Task Force. This is a subject of some mild interest, isn't it?
I'll say it's probably the mildest of interest that I've had in years. It's been a lot going on this summer. We've had a lot with it. Talked to a lot of good people on both sides. You have good people that are completely opposed to what we're accomplish here. You have good people on the other side that are pushing and promoting this. But we've had a lot of great conversations. But I think in the end, I think we're going to get something that works for Mississippians when it's all said and done.
Well, we've been talking about this for several years now, and admittedly, this is a complicated, thorny subject to get through, but there are some people, I've been told this a couple of times, that feel like it's taken too long to get to a point where we're having serious discussions with the possibility of a result out of it. What's your feeling on that?
Well, it's probably fair to say I've been talking about this probably for the last year and a half, and all the states that surround us have already done something in this arena. We're going to be one of the last southeastern states that really come to the table and do this or do something similar to this. Over this last meeting that we had, we met with the Mississippi Association of for the schools, and we met with the athletic association that runs the football games, baseball, all the intramural sports, things like that. And when it's the both of those groups, one was very much cautionary, but in favor of trying to move forward with this. That would be the private schools, and then I got the impression from the athletic association that they're very nervous about this. So you can, and you see both sides of it. It's not hard to figure out that there's legitimate reasons for both. But let's do a thought experiment for a second. If we didn't have an education system in the state of Mississippi right now, and I was putting together this education system, and the first thing I did was come out and say, parents, you have no control over where your kid goes to school, I'd be run out of the state of Mississippi. But here
I think you're exactly right, yeah.
We see it with the same dynamic at play. Now, a lot of the folks that are out there that say that we do have choice, I'll agree with them. We do have choice. It's called rich people get to send their kids where they want to. Poor people don't. And I just think that's just an unfair dynamic, and your zip code should not determine where you're capable or able to go to school. And I don't think that's a hard concept to get across, but unfortunately, you've got a lot of folks out there that there's fear that you're going to harm a good school or you're going to shut down a small one. And my opinion of that is, if you're a good school, and I don't care whether you're big or small, if you're a good school and you lose 5 people, then there are going to be 5 other people that are going to want to come to your school. So it's silly to suggest that you're going to actually lose students. Now, if you're a poor-performing school, you're probably going to have problems. And I'll be very honest with you. If it's a poor-performing school and it's gone on for years and years and years, my opinion is it needs to shut down, and we need to figure out what makes it better.
Well, and the thing here is, let me ask you this, because it is a complicated thing. There are 2 sides to this story. I think everyone understands that at this point. Is the sticking point private schools? Is that the point that everybody seems to keep coming back to when we have the discussions about this?
I would say no. Last year we were talking about something we were calling portability, which meant public to public. And I've got a tremendous amount of pushback from some of our administrators, and some of these are good people. So I'm not suggesting that any of these people are nothing but good people. There's some dang good administrators out there. But some of these folks are just very concerned that this is going to put some kind of burden on their school system if they have too many people that want to come to their school. And we gave them the ability to turn people away if they just didn't have the ability to take them. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough, and I get the impression that change is just hard, and we're just having to keep pushing. And here again, I don't suggest these folks are ill intent, but the bottom line is that the whole purpose of schools, it's supposed to be educating kids, not putting a system of employment system in for the adults out there. And unfortunately, I think that we're kind of missing the point in some of our areas, that the whole point of schools are to educate children.
Oh, that's right. And I think part of the reason why it's such a big change and such a problem in some people's eyes on both sides is that this is trying to introduce the concept of a free market capitalism. It's not capitalism here, but the free market into what has always been a closed system. And that's never going to be an unbumpy road, is it?
It isn't, but the point that I would make to anybody that's out there that's kind of on the fence, that are trying to figure this out, if the government money being used is the concern, then it's the same government money that we use in hospitals. It's the same government money that we use in just about every aspect of our lives out there. And we don't tell parents where to take their children to a hospital, but we do tell them where to send them to school. And that's ridiculous that we're getting to the point where someone's education and the most important thing that they will do over the course of their lifetime to make certain that they can be successful has been put in such a small category. Parents should be able to make the decision as to what is in the best interest of their children. And unfortunately, we've kind of backed ourselves into a corner here, and we've got to dig our way out. We've got to be brave enough to do it.
Well, and that's what it's going to take, and I suspect it's going to take a lot of arguing still to come. Do you think we're going to get something workable passed during this upcoming session? I know you hope we do. Do you think there's a shot?
I absolutely think there's a shot. I've been told most of my life that I wouldn't be able to get things done in certain areas, and we've always been able to get there. And I have no doubt that my group and the leadership on the House side as well as on the Senate side, there are good people on both sides trying to make this happen. But I think that when it's all said and done, we'll get something on the table that will work. It may not be exactly what Rob wants, but it may be something better when it's all said and done. So I'm not tied to the fact of exactly what it has to be. I'm tied to the fact that we have to do something.
Well, I'm going to go back to something you said a second ago, because you highlighted part of the problem here perfectly, I think. The only question, or the only kinds of questions, to me anyway, that should be asked while debating this is, if you've got two options, which one is the best for the kids? That's it. All these other considerations, that's kind of secondary at best to the thrust of this, which is to give every kid in Mississippi the opportunity to get the best education possible for them. And if you're asking questions that have nothing to do with that, you're asking the wrong questions, in my opinion.
I agree. I think that one of the things that people really don't get their head wrapped around even with this is that only about 7 to 10% of the children out there are going to take a part of going to a private school or going to a different school. And 10% is at the top end, and 7% is more the average, and it may be even fewer than that when it's all said and done. So the reality is we're going to still have public schools. We're still going to have a need for all of these schools to work together. But even if you're in a good school district, there are children out there that may have been bullied, may have been just don't fit into that really good school system, that need to go somewhere else. And to suggest that anything other than that particular kid needs to be treated fairly, the parents need to be treated fairly, to me is ridiculous. We have to get to a point where we're focusing on what each individual kid needs. Now, there are some opponents of this will say, well, there are some bad parents out there that can't or won't make the right decision for their child.
Chairman,
what do you do?
I hate to interrupt you, but we're up against a break. Can you stick around through the break?
Absolutely.
And we'll pick that back up. Just wet your finger and hold your place there, and we'll pick it right back up when we come back with Representative Rob Roberson here on SuperTalk Mississippi in Mornings. Keep it here. Welcome back to Morning SuperTalk Mississippi. Dave Hughes in for Richard Cross this morning, and with us is Representative Rob Roberson from District 43, Chairman of the House Education Committee, and we are talking about, I think this is probably one of the biggest things that's going to come up in this upcoming session in January, isn't it?
I think it's probably the biggest thing that's going to come up in the next 5 years. We're really, this is really something serious that we're taking on, and it's probably the biggest thing. Maybe secondarily to the change in the way we fund our schools last year. I think this is a really big topic it's important. Everyone needs to know about it. Needs to be talking about it.
I think you're right. Now, I'm sorry I had to interrupt you because we have no control over when the breaks happen. And you were on a roll. I hated to stop you because you were making some good points. And let's just pick that back up and talk about the pluses and the minuses to this and some of the arguments going on.
Well, some of the arguments I've heard have been that what do you do when you have parents that are uncaring or don't, they're not involved? Well, that's equivalent to saying that you're on the Titanic. You've only got 5 boats that could be put out to save people, but because we only have 5 boats and we're not going to be able to save everybody, we're not going to put any of the boats in the water to save people. And that's a ridiculous argument. There are going to be situations that we cannot control as either a people or a government or a school system, and we've got to do what's best for each of these children. Now, that's not to say that we throw these kids away. It's to say that we do the best we can with what we have and continue moving forward. Good school systems will meet the needs of these kids, and whether that means it's a public, private, or a parochial school, then those schools will meet those needs if we let them. And having some ability, it's one of the things that's been very frustrating for me as chairman of education is I don't claim to be an expert in education. What I claim to be is somebody that cares enough to be willing to serve, and that's the way most parents feel. And having 4 children of my own, I feel very much in the role of a parent here saying, okay, what is going to be the best for my children? And that's the way I'm looking at it. I would hope that that's the way most of the superintendents, principals, and teachers do. Now, a lot of the teachers I've talked to, now they won't say this, they won't publicly say it, but they'll say it privately. This is the greatest thing. We think this will be the best for our kids in the future. And because being on the inside, they see some of the problems that we have. If you have a child with a special need, we do have ESAs in Mississippi. And that does help in terms of taking special needs children and giving them a place to go. However, we've got to build these things up, and every child should have the opportunity of doing what's going to be in their best interest when it's all said and done. And I think this is the route to go. Now, that being said, we have to be careful and be as diligent as we can to make certain that we're keeping support of our good schools, the best schools that we can, and making certain that those are attractive for parents and kids in the future. But I can't see how this takes away from that.
You mentioned in the last segment that you had heard from some of the athletic departments at some of the high schools. Is there a concern about recruiting and schools concentrating the best athletes in the area into one school?
That's exactly one of the issues that they brought up. But my argument to that's going on now. I mean, the cherry picking that's going on, and it's not supposed to be legal, and it's not supposed to be something that's done, but it's happening. And so from my standpoint, we're discussing an issue that's occurring. Whenever that comes up, either we can strengthen these issues where we put in legislation that you have to sit out a year if you're moving around, and the purpose of moving around is to create this super school that has the greatest football team. All you have to do is put a situation in there where if you have to sit out for 1 year, if that's the case. I'm not that interested in the athletic dynamic. And now that being said, I want kids to have the opportunity to play ball and do the things that they enjoy doing. But more than likely, these kids are not going to make their living in the future by football, baseball, or any other sports that may be out there. They're going to make their living by the education they receive now and in the future, whether that be a vocational education or whether that be a university education. So we have got to give them the strongest foundation we possibly can. This athletic dynamic is, to me, secondary to what should be talked about, which is the educational system that we should be making certain that each of our children are getting the best of the best we can give them.
Well, it goes back to something you said earlier as well. I think that a lot of the friction in this idea comes from adults are wanting what they think is best, not what's actually best for the kids. That's just the impression I get from the outside looking in. Is that even close?
It seems like that sometimes. I really don't like, the opponents of this, I don't like to suggest that I understand their motivation. I would hope their motivation is pure as my motivation. I don't like to think that it's in terms of, this is going to harm the employment. This is going to harm the community. Because a lot of times when you close a school down, for argument's sake, when this could have some consolidation dynamics that play with it. But if you close the school down, you almost kill the community. But if that's what's holding your community together to start with, you might have a bigger problem than the school system. And unfortunately, that's just the reality. We consolidated, Tibahaw County consolidated a few years ago, and it's the best thing that we could have done for our children. Now, it may have not been the best situation we could have done for Moore or Alexander or Sturgis or Maven, but it was the best thing we could do for those children because they were able to be brought into the Starkville, Tibahaw County School District, and they're getting a really good education, and they're able to meet and exceed needs that we have for them. But in the future, all of our communities need to be looking at something. We've got over 140 some odd school districts in the state of Mississippi. We only have 82 counties. Explain to me why we have to have that many superintendents, assistant superintendents, principals. There's ways to do this to help consolidation, and part of this school choice dynamic will force this issue to be talked about. Part of this conversation will move to us kind of naturally where parents think their children are best fitted for. And so I honestly think that in the long run, we'll have a leaner, meaner system that works for our children and not the other way around where it's our children having to be there and operate to make certain that the community and there are people being employed in a particular community. That is not the purpose of an educational system. An educational system is meant to be educating children, period.
Well, and I think we're dealing with a problem of a system that was set up during a time when 30 miles between your house and the school was an inseparable distance, so you needed another school closer. Now the world has changed, but we, thanks to societal inertia, just resist any idea of changing the system to match the current situation instead of leaving it like it was 100 years ago.
I think that's fair, and it really comes down to our natural. Human beings are very suspicious of change. I understand that, and I completely understand the natural tendency not to want to move from where you are. I get that, but for us to be successful, for the state of Mississippi to have the best educational system moving forward, nationwide, worldwide, we have got to take on some of these issues and I realize all the arguments. Oh, we've had the miracle, the Mississippi miracle, which was no miracle. There were a lot of good people that are still in the legislature, that are still involved in this decision we're trying to make now, that made those decisions. And then we had good teachers and we had good administrations that helped promote those things to get us where we are today. There's no miracle here. This is just called good old-fashioned hard work. And we're going to continue doing that, and we're not going to sit on our laurels. We're going to keep moving forward, making good decisions so that our kids could be, better off, and we can have an economic system here in Mississippi that really is attracting more and more people to our state. We have got to grow our state, or we're going to die, and that is the bottom line for any community.
It's Representative Rob Roberson, Chairman of the House Education Committee. My condolences to your voicemail inbox, by the way. I have a feeling it's going to stay crammed for the next 6 months.
It will be. It'll be a lot of fun, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's always fun when you're accomplishing things. That's the way it works. Chairman, appreciate your time this morning. Keep up the good work and keep us updated, okay?
Thank you. God bless y'all.
Same to you. We will continue on a very nice Tuesday morning here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
I eat the words that you see.